All right, guys, welcome to class today. Today we're going to be working on portfolios, working portfolios. The difference between a working portfolio and a professional portfolio is that a working portfolio captures everything, and a professional portfolio is the best of what you've got. In a working portfolio, you take the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you catch it all. And some of the things you collect, maybe you don't like, or maybe they're good ideas, but your skills aren't there yet, and so you come back to that later. With the working portfolio, this is just a really cheap, easy way to get a good working class portfolio. It'll protect you from a few raindrops, but you wouldn't want to take it out in the rainstorm if you were, traveling, walking 3 miles to home. But it will work for getting you onto the bus or into your car, right? And so we're going to store these in class after we're done with them. They look like giant envelopes, and all we're going to use for them is a 24 by 36 sheet of paper. You guys are going to go 5 inches to the edge, to the top edge of this portfolio. You're going to have about a 5-inch lid, and you can measure that out with a ruler real fast and make sure that you're accurate on that. Okay? And you think folding large paper would be easier than it actually is. It's really easy to mess up. So we're going to save some trees today. Make sure you do this right. When you fold the paper, start from the center in. So I'm going to come from the center right here. I'll just drop my elbows down and I'll fold out to the left and to the right. And if I want it to be smoother than that, I can take a pen or a pencil and I can go along that bottom edge. What happens if you don't do that is that the paper shears. So it just sort of like, if you go from left to right, the paper will start to warp like this as you go along, and you'll have wasted paper. So same thing on the lid. You just fold it up, go from the center out, and you're going to have a portfolio that's going to fit inside your slots in this class. And when you tape it on the edges, because obviously we have the body for the body of the work and we have the lid right now, but we don't actually have any edge sealed up on it. So we're just going to use simple masking tape. And we're going to, it's semi-transparent. If you hover the masking tape, like if you're right-handed, hold with your left hand the end and roll out the tape. And if you hover it there for a second, you should be able to see where the portfolio is and where the tabletop is. And you can lay it down half and half. And so I'm going to have you do that on both sides. Then all you're going to do is just rip it right up off the table. Okay? And when you fold it over, you're going to start the same way. You're going to go from the middle out in order to, it doesn't really matter if you have wrinkles, but we're going to try to, of course, keep a kind of a cleaner look to it. And so if you just kind of fold it over in the middle, it'll work better. Rip that pigtail off of it. Do the same on the other side. And we're going to have a decent working class portfolio. So there you go. Now what are we going to do with it? That's the bigger question. The bigger question about how we're going to kind of give a title for our portfolio is right here, and I'm going to sort of readjust this for half a second. Okay. So the lid, on the lid portion of this, we're going to go a 1/2 inch from the edges, and we're going to make sure that our lettering is at least big enough to fill this. Now, this is going to be where your name goes, and it could be your first name, your last name, it could be your middle name, it could be a nickname, a short name, initials. Whatever you decide to really do is fine. It's your artistic name, and you're going to create artistic typography right here. But you're not going to use basic stick letters, basic block letters, and that's what we have here. We've got basic stick letters, basic block, basic bubble. I was never good at the bubble, but you see people do that all the time, and those are a good start, block and bubble, but they're not a very good finish. So the ums here, I don't want you to do that. I want you to elaborate further. And there's a couple of different things that you can do for that. You can pick a theme. So for my color and design or my drawing class, you guys may decide to come up with some sort of pictorial theme for your lettering. You may bend people or use foliage of trees or flowers. You decide what you want to do there, and you can get into color, obviously, if it's a class with color. But there's also just pure design. And I would argue that that's the highest form of typography. When you're looking at just pure design, that's where the real brilliance in typography comes from. And you can manipulate it an awful lot. So in this case, what I've got is a lettering system that I just put basic shapes into and cut out. So I drew all these basic shapes and then outlined only where they influenced the basic block letters. So I started out very, very simple and then just added these shapes to it. And then when I went to outline it, I just outlined the inside of it, cutting out wherever the shapes had interfered with the block letter M. That's a really easy way to get something unique. But you can just do letters for the sake of design. And honestly, these are symbols that are ingrained in your subconscious. You can decide to do all kinds of cool things with them, and you can reduce the letter almost down to, you can probably take 50% of the letter away. Cut it out, take it out. In a black and white design class, it's perfect. And it'll still be recognized as the letter that it is. So you can play that game to see how much can you take out of a letter, how much can you augment it, how much can you manipulate it and twist it and change it before people don't actually read it as the letter it is. And I think you'll be surprised at how much you can do artistically with a letter. Think of the typography that's out there. All the people that have done, work for Microsoft or work for any of the Word doc companies, those guys are getting paid to develop typographies that you're going to use for the next 20, 30, 50 years. And so you can have fun with that and develop your own letter styling. The only other thing I want to mention is right here on the underside, you need to have your name printed, your grade, and the class and the portfolio number. And so I have a little bit of fun with that, but this artistic lettering may not be entirely recognizable. So this right here is my clue. If I find it on the floor, somebody threw it out of your portfolio slot, I can get it safely back to the owner. So make sure that you print it very clearly right here. Your portfolio number is the number next to your name on the board, and it's where you're putting your work. All right, that's it. Let's get started. Masking tape and paper will be around.
Yay!